touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kusa. You ain't here for my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on their necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regret, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of Eric Malcolm.
It's a cut on the gas, other one on their necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me?
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Now, with that all being said, let's see who's in here. Okay, Desmond, Reggie, DJ Big Six, Buckhorse DC, Claudette, Chris B is in the virtual building. All right, let's get into it. Vince, I am from the UK. We the people. All right, just anticipate Aquarius MC. Okay, Soul Sister, I see you, Star C, Nessie X, Nessa G, Queen Sam. All right, so let's get into it, Jerron. Now, with that all being said, everybody hit that like button, okay? It's the least you can do. That's the way you can support the channel absolutely for free. It won't cost you a thing. So before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Kratz. And you can also find it at Walmart. And don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get ready to get into it. So it's a lot going on, you all. It's looking like Trump is scared. It's looking like Trump wants to back out, but doesn't know how to get his exit. And he's been dragging NATO, basically threatening to pull the U.S. away from NATO because they refuse to help. Okay, I'm not understanding why this idiot thinks they should help. Okay, just because they're allies and he started this illegal war, they don't want to be war criminals, I'm sure. Okay, but hey, here's the thing. If he was winning and obliterating everything in sight, why again does he need anyone's help? Okay, please make it all make sense. Now, this first clip we're going to was 3 hours ago. It was reported Netanyahu's forces crack under pressure as Houthi and Hezbollah unleash simultaneous attacks. Okay, please pay attention. It's all going down, and it's not looking good for Trump or Satan Yahoo. Let's get into it. Then we're going to talk about this whole thing. It's just one big blood ritual, okay? This is nothing but a blood sacrifice. That's all it is. And I have receipts.
Not just in Iran. Is Israel losing the war on a new war front as United States hints at reducing support? A near-simultaneous attack by the Houthis and Hezbollah has raised fresh questions about whether the IDF was caught off guard. The Houthis launched another attack while Hezbollah also kept up cross-border pressure with rockets and drones from Lebanon. After Hezbollah shot down an Israeli drone over southern Lebanon, is there any risk of an intelligence leak?
The U.S. will be gone or done with the war?
I think with 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is
We'll
3
leave
weeks.
because
Israel early on April 1st witnessed fresh missile and drone attacks linked to Lebanon and Yemen, as new cross-border fire hit during the wider Iran war. Iran-backed groups Hezbollah and the Houthis were reported to have launched fresh salvos, expanding pressure on Israel from multiple fronts at once. The Times of Israel reported the new attacks and said sirens were heard in various towns and cities, including border communities in the north and areas in the south targeted from Yemen. The IDF claimed it intercepted a ballistic missile fired from Yemen by the Houthis, according to reports on the latest escalation against southern Israel. The missile was aimed at southern Israel, an area that has come under repeated attack since the Houthis entered the Iran war last week. No injuries were reported, but sirens were activated in Beersheba and across southern Israel as the missile threat triggered fresh alerts. The Yemeni Houthis have now fired several missiles at Israel after joining the Iran war, opening another active front in the regional conflict. Sirens were also heard in the northern Israeli cities of Safed and Kiryat Shmona, along with nearby border areas, as Hezbollah launched new attacks from Lebanon. The Times of Israel said the fresh warning alerts came after Hezbollah fired rockets and drones toward Israel in the latest round of cross-border strikes. Just before the northern attack, the IDF had suffered a strategic setback in Lebanon after one of its military drones was brought down. An Israeli drone was shot down by Hezbollah over South Lebanon, according to a report that cited the IDF on the incident. The drone was reportedly supporting ground troops before it was hit by a surface-to-air missile, showing Hezbollah's continued ability to challenge Israeli air operations. The IDF said there was no risk of an information leak despite losing the drone in Lebanon. The Israeli military has also launched a further investigation into the drone's downing, according to the same reporting. Meanwhile, Donald Trump suggested on March 31st that the war against Iran could be nearing an end if current pressure succeeds in forcing a deal. Trump also said there was no reason for the United States to secure the Strait of Hormuz itself, even though Iran has effectively blocked the waterway during the war. His remarks came a day after Benjamin Netanyahu said only about half of the war's objectives had been achieved so far.
A couple of questions for you on Iran. The first one that affects Americans here at home, gas prices. Today they hit $4.
we have $4, yeah, and we have a country that's not going to be throwing a nuclear weapon at us in 6 months. Of course,
but Americans are feeling the effects in the interim of this
and they're
operation.
also feeling a lot safer.
What is the plan to bring them back down?
All I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon, and they'll become tumbling down. And stock prices were up today almost to a record because they know 2 things. Number one, we have a safe country. We had to take a little detour because we had a madman named Khomeini who sadly is no longer with us. And we had regime change already. We've knocked out one regime, then we knocked out the second regime. Now we have a group of people that are very different. They're much more reasonable, I think much less radicalized. We have had regime change. We're dealing with people that are much more rational, and it's amazing what we've done. We had to make a little detour. So when the stock market broke all records just a few weeks ago, when it hit 50,000 on the Dow, 7,000 on the S&P, I said to the American people, it's time that we have to make a little detour because we have a madman that wants a nuclear weapon. And if we didn't knock him out with a B-2 bomber, we would have a nuclear weapon right now. It would have been used before today. And you may not be standing there asking that question, okay? So I think we have a country that understands that. I see CNN did a poll and they talked about voters or MAGA voters, and my poll came out at 100%. Nobody covers that poll. They had another poll where it's at 92% approval. I think that the people understand it. We'll be leaving very soon. And if France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, go up through the Strait and Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually, but we have nothing to do with that. What happens to the Strait, we're not going to have anything to do with, because these countries, China will go up and they'll fuel up their beautiful ships and they'll leave and they'll take care of themselves. There's no reason for us to do it. We hit them hard. We got rid of a lot of the radicalized lunatics along the Strait. But if they want something, but I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 3, we're hitting them very hard. Last night we knocked out tremendous amounts of missile-making facilities. As you probably read or wrote,
Will be gone.
we knocked out. Excuse me.
Pardon interrupting. The U.S. will be gone or done with the war?
I think with 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is
We'll
3
leave.
weeks,
Because
then it
there's
would
no
be
reason
after
for us to
160
do this.
deadline.
Look, problem with the Strait, a guy can take a mine, drop it in the water, and say, oh, it's unsafe. It's not like you're taking out an army or you're taking out a country, or they can drop it. Or you can take a machine gun from the shore and shoot a few bullets at a ship, or maybe an over-the-shoulder missile, small missiles. That's not for us. That'll be for France. That'll be for whoever's using the Strait. But I think when we leave, probably that's all cleared up. Today, I heard tremendous numbers of ships were sailing through. We're negotiating with them right now. They've been, again, we have had regime change. Now, regime change was not one of the things I had as a goal. I had one goal. They will have no nuclear weapon. And that goal has been attained. They will not have nuclear weapons.
He is such a darn liar. Oh my goodness, he gets on my nerves. I'm going to try not to curse, but Donald Trump is so full of BS. He said that wasn't his goal. He had one goal, to make sure they didn't have nuclear weapons. No, that's not true. He has flip-flopped. He has changed the reasoning several times at least. Rubio said it was because they were defending Israel. Basically, he said something about they had to help Israel. Okay, so he already let the cat out of the bag. And then another thing is Trump did say everything about regime change. And listen, just a few days ago, sometime last week, I showed you all the clip of him saying that regime change was done. He said there's new people in there, so we pretty much have regime change. He sounds so stupid. That's not regime change. Okay, when you kill the leader and then they put his son in there, he sounds idiotic. It's the same regime, clown. This is how obtuse he is. And the only people more dumb and ignorant than Trump are MAGA. Okay, the nice M10K says more black celebs have come out as MAGA, and we should cancel them all. We should cancel them all because clearly they don't give a darn about their own people. Okay, please pay attention, and thank you for that information, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Let's let this idiot continue.
But we're finishing the job, and I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job. But we want to knock out every single thing they have. Now, it's possible that we'll make a deal before that, because we'll hit bridges, and we've hit some. We'll hit some bridges, get a couple of nice bridges in mind. But if they come to the table, that'll be good. But it doesn't matter whether they come or not. We've set them back. It'll take 15 to 20 years for them to rebuild what we've done to them. They have no Navy. They have no military. They have no Air Force. They have no telecommunications.
If they don't have any Navy or military, how the hell are they still fighting? Do y'all hear this? This is all crazy. So they have no military? Well, who the hell are y'all fighting, Trump? Civilians? Is that what y'all are doing? Fighting civilians? And by the way, speaking of civilians, you do know that the U.S. has been hitting Iranian universities, right? Yeah, but they don't kill civilians. The hell if they don't. Let's continue.
They have no anti-aircraft systems. They have no leaders. You know, their leaders are all gone. That's why we have regime change. We have nice new leaders.
This cloud said, we have nice new leaders. Now, just the other day, he said he didn't even know if their leader, the younger Khamenei, Mushtaba, he didn't even know if he was alive or dead. Okay? So what is he talking about here? What are we doing? This is all crazy. This whole thing is just ridiculous. We're going to get into some stuff about this later, but now let's go to Keg's breath. Okay, let's see what he's talking about. Trump's doing he's giving a briefing tonight or addressing the nation about the war tonight at 9. Okay, I'll probably be on here to film it or to record, to discuss it live.
Pete Hegseth is threatening to escalate the war on Iran if the two countries don't strike a deal.
ABC's Kristi has the very latest from Washington.
Today, the U.S. is ramping up strikes on Iran. Video circulating online, including posts from President Trump, shows an explosion in a city home to one of Iran's main nuclear sites.
The video the president posted last night of Esfahan, an ammo depot struck by U.S. bombers.
The Wall Street Journal reports the U.S. struck an Iranian military installation there with 2,000-pound bunker busters. As the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, President Trump this morning is telling other countries to either purchase U.S. oil or build up some delayed courage and just take it from the strait. This morning, the defense secretary echoing the president with an even more pointed jab at our ally, Britain.
Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well.
Trump goes on in his post about allies, quote, "You have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be able to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us."
Do y'all hear this? He said they need to be ready to start fighting for themselves and the U.S. won't be there for them anymore, just like they weren't there for us. Please, you started this illegal war. Okay. And then when he's losing pathetically, he wants other people to come in and save the day. And he's upset because they won't. Now, just think about it, folks. If we were really winning the way he says, obliterating their Navy, their military, and all this stuff, okay, why does he need anyone's help? Okay. This man is such a liar.
We ask for additional assistance or simple access basing and overflight. We get questions or roadblocks or hesitations. And the president's pointing out, you don't have much of an alliance if you have countries that are not willing to stand with you when you need them.
And the Financial Times reports Hegseth's broker tried to make a multi-million-dollar investment in defense companies just weeks before the U.S. and Israel launched its first strikes on Iran, adding that investment was not ultimately made. The Pentagon denies any such investment ever existed, demanding a retraction. Kristi, ABC News, Washington.
He absolutely did do that. I want you all to pay attention. So right before the war started, they're saying Keg's breath tried to make an investment with BlackRock. Okay, that's what they were reporting yesterday. They said he tried to make an investment with BlackRock. Now, we know that BlackRock's trying to buy up everything so that there's no private citizens owning anything, even homes. Now, Keg's breath has denied it, of course, but I don't believe him. Okay, because him and the entire administration is nothing but a bunch of lying devils that are not to be trusted under any stretch of anyone's imagination. Okay, please. Now, they say there was a journalist kidnapped. Let's go to that. Yeah, they're all making a bag, Shoshana.
President Trump says the war with Iran will end soon. But for now, the fighting continues to spread across the region. These images from southern Beirut, where Israel says it is targeting Iran-backed Hezbollah. In Iran, the U.S. has hit more than 11,000 targets, according to the military, which posted this video overnight, saying it shows precision strikes. Yesterday, President Trump describing the war as nearly over.
I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job, but we want to knock out every single thing there.
U.S. troops continue to head to the region, including another ship, the George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier, setting out yesterday. And the Defense Department still leaving open the possibility of ground troops.
Our adversary right now thinks there are 15 different ways we could come at them with boots on the ground. And guess what? There are.
As the bombs keep falling on both sides, an Iranian English teacher sending this audio message about the bombardment inside Iran to NBC News.
I don't know how to put it in words. Absolutely insane. Very loud, very mind-boggling.
Iran retaliating around the region, including a rocket attack this morning at the airport in Kuwait, and a strike against an oil facility in Iraq. While Americans are caught in the crosshairs of the widening war, this chilling video showing the moment American journalist Shelley Kittleson is grabbed by suspected Iranian-backed militants in Iraq. One suspected kidnapper arrested, but the others escaped with Kittleson. The U.S. saying it's working to ensure her release as quickly as possible.
Iranian TV is saying that the Iranian president spoke with the president of the EU Council today, or yesterday rather, and said that Iran is ready for peace, but they want certain assurances, namely that they won't be attacked again. Guys, back to you.
Stephanie Goskforth there in Israel. Steph, thank you.
Let's go to this set of updates this guy posted.
24 hours sound crucial. Here's everything you need to know right now. Iran struck a Kuwaiti oil tanker near Dubai. This ship was carrying 2 million barrels of oil. No casualties were reported. OPEC output collapsed to lowest levels since 2020. Trump said if the Strait of Hormuz is not immediately open for business, we will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells in Kargay Island, and possibly all desalination plants. Trump also said he might end the war if Hormuz stays closed, though. Trump will be addressing the nation at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's reported to be about the Iran war. Iran has threatened U.S. companies in the region. They said starting April 1st they will be targeting them. Russian foreign minister said, "What we're witnessing now has all the indicators of escalating into a broader conflict. Some have already dubbed World War III. This country has halted all defense deals with France." President Trump said, all of those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refused to get involved of the decapitation of Iran. I have a suggestion for you. Number 1, buy from the US. We have plenty. And number 2, build up some delayed courage. Go to the Strait and just take it. You'll have to learn to start fighting for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. China has demanded this country to immediately leave Lebanon, saying Lebanon must not become another. Greece is preparing for possible Iranian attacks. Russian media reported that contact has been lost with a military transport AN-26 aircraft over Crimea. This aircraft was reported to be holding around 30 people. Russia also said they lost an Su-34. It's speculated that Ukraine is the cause for both of these aircraft. That hasn't been verified yet. It was reported that the UAE is willing to join the fight to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. These next 24 hours sound crucial.
Okay, so that was pretty much a breakdown. Now let's get to NATO because, like I said, Trump is ticked off that they won't help and making all these threats and whatnot. But here is NATO, a NATO ally, to talk about why they're not going to help. Okay? Why they're not going to help.
It's very important that we're clear. There's been a good deal of pressure on me to change my position in relation to joining the war, and I'm not going to change my position on the war. So whatever the pressure, whatever the noise, I'm the British Prime Minister and I have to act in our national interests. And that's why I've been absolutely clear that this is not our war and we're not going to get dragged into it. Good morning. The conflict in the Middle East has now entered a second month. And while we're working at pace for de-escalation and peace, it is now clear that the impact of this war will affect the future of our country. So today, I want to reassure the British people that no matter how fierce this storm, we are well placed to weather it, and that we have a long-term plan to emerge from it a stronger and more secure nation. First, let me say once again, this is not our war. We will not be drawn into the conflict. That is not in our national interest. And the most effective way we can support the cost of living in Britain is to push for de-escalation in the Middle East and a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which is such a vital route for energy.
Okay, he said what he said. Now let's go to Putin because they're saying that they say that Russia says that if the U.S. does even think about sending boots on the ground, they're coming. I want y'all to pay attention. So much for Putin and Trump's little bromance. Trump is just licking Putin's boots. It's all so sad.
Over Mujtaba's true location deepens as Putin's envoy makes a major revelation, insisting the Iranian supreme leader is still inside Iran and out of sight, even as rumors swirl about secret treatment abroad. Amid rampant speculation that Mujtaba may have been moved to Russia for medical care and protection, a top Putin aide has stunned Trump's camp by publicly signaling Moscow's quiet backing for Iran's embattled leader. In a new shock for Trump, reports suggest Putin is preparing Russian forces to help shield Iran from any potential US ground invasion, raising the stakes of direct confrontation between the great powers. Trump has tried to mock and belittle Mujtaba in public remarks, but Putin's overt political embrace and hints of military support have delivered a harsh reality check to Washington about the limits of US leverage in this war.
Is Khamenei's son still alive, sir? Is he a part of these conversations?
We think he may be. Nobody's heard about him. He may be alive, but he's obviously.
Now I want you all to pay attention right there. He just said, I think he may be still alive. Here's the thing. Didn't he just say that they have a new regime in there, a better one? He doesn't even know if that man's dead or alive. So what in the world is he talking about? Okay, how does anyone believe anything that comes out of his mouth?
Very seriously in trouble. He's seriously wounded.
Even as the war passes the one-month mark, Iran's new supreme leader Mujtaba Khamenei has still not appeared in public, fueling intense speculation about his condition and grip on power. Amid mounting questions over Mujtaba's health and whereabouts, Russia has stepped in with a major claim that directly addresses the rumors swirling around Tehran and Moscow. President Vladimir Putin's envoy to Iran publicly moved to clear the air, responding to chatter that Mujtaba had secretly flown to Russia for treatment and protection. Earlier media reports had suggested Mujtaba was taken to Moscow after suffering serious injuries, allegedly at Putin's personal invitation, for advanced medical care. Mujtaba was reportedly wounded in the joint US-Israeli strikes on February 28 that killed his father, Ali Khamenei, during the opening salvos of the war. The Russian envoy has now clarified that Mujtaba remains in Iran, not Moscow, according to reports published on March 31st that sought to dispel the relocation rumors. He told local media it was understandable that Mujtaba has not been seen in public, hinting at both security concerns and possible injury-related limitations. Mujtaba formally replaced his father Ali Khamenei as Iran's supreme leader on March 8th, but has so far issued only written or relayed messages rather than appearing on camera. Meanwhile, the US president has publicly floated the possibility that Mujtaba Khamenei may have been killed or is close to death in the war, even as intelligence and Russian statements say he is still alive.
I think we'll make a deal with them. Pretty sure.
Trump needs to just shut up. That's what he needs to do. Now let's go to this this clip where they say that Russia and Tehran are ready. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Gerke said this sounds like a street fight. Not a street fight, beloved.
Iranian state media is now claiming that combat units from Russia's Chechen Republic have declared themselves ready to deploy to Iran if the United States launches a ground invasion. According to Press TV, these forces are loyal to Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov and have told Tehran they will fight alongside the Iranian armed forces if US troops move beyond air and missile strikes onto Iranian soil. The reports describe the ongoing US-Israeli war against Iran as a religious war and say the Chechen side is framing any direct intervention as a jihad, a battle of good versus evil in defense of the Islamic Republic. These claims surface just as US officials openly discuss limited ground raids inside Iran, including possible assaults on Karg Island and coastal sites near the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's top military command has responded with its own rhetoric, vowing to cut off the legs of any aggressor who tries to set foot on Iranian territory, and insisting the country is waiting for a ground invasion to prove it can destroy invading forces. Iranian outlets say more than 1 million fighters, a mix of regular troops, Revolutionary Guard units and Basi volunteers, have been mobilized nationwide, while new reinforcements and air defense systems are being dug in along key fronts.
Okay, I'm sorry, but they look like they absolutely mean business, honey. And I would not want to fight anyone in a battle where they're walking in lockstep like that. Did y'all see it? Please. Let's continue.
Against that backdrop, talk of Chechen reinforcements is meant to signal that any US move on the ground might not just pit Washington against Tehran, but risk pulling in Russian-aligned fighters as well. Chechen commander Abdi Alaudinov, whose Akhmat units have been fighting in Ukraine, has already said publicly that his men are waiting for an order from Vladimir Putin to confront US forces if war spills into Iran. Iranian and sympathetic media are now amplifying those statements to suggest that the same Chechen formations used as shock troops in Ukraine could appear on a new front in the Gulf, blurring the line between the Ukraine war and the Iran conflict. For now, there is no independent confirmation that any Chechen units are actually moving toward Iran. But the messaging alone feeds a narrative in Tehran that if the US crosses the threshold into a ground invasion, it could find itself facing not just Iran's own forces, but foreign fighters who see the fight as part of a wider jihad against American power.
They just need to call it quits at this point. I'm sorry. And listen to this, you all. I have audio from an IDF soldier. I have audio from an IDF soldier just crying and begging his commander to let him go home. Okay, he sounded so pitiful. I almost felt sorry. But then I remember what went on in Gaza, and I said, yep, I bet that's exactly how the poor Palestinians, okay, even the Palestinian children, I bet they were crying too, okay? So I feel nothing. Let's take a listen, because this was actually music to my ears as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of people in the comment section said the same. Y'all hear that? He said, I don't want to die. I'm begging you. I want to leave this country. I bet you do. Don't cry now, boo. Okay, don't cry now. Isn't that something? Begging for mercy. Ah, but they're winning. Okay, let Trump tell it. They're winning. Okay, please pay attention, honey. This is all crazy. Let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Let's go to this clip of Trump talking about their Navy that he already told us 1,000 times was completely obliterated. Okay? Ready to call it quits. Trump desperate to find an off-ramp in Iran war amid global oil crisis. Okay, this is from MS Now.
$32 of the war with Iran. Here's where things stand. Gas prices have topped the $4 a gallon mark. That is the highest that gas has been in 4 years. Donald Trump now, though, appears ready to call it quits, head for the exits, potentially leaving Iran in some ways in a stronger position than before the war began. The Wall Street Journal is reporting this, quote, Trump told aides he's willing to end the U.S. military campaign against Iran, even if the Strait of Hormuz remains largely closed. Administration officials said, likely extending Tehran's firm grip on the waterway and leaving a complex operation to reopen it for a later date. In recent days, Donald Trump and his aides assessed that a mission to pry open the choke point would push the conflict beyond his timeline of 4 to 6 weeks. Trump decided that the U.S. should achieve its main goals of hobbling Iran's navy and its missile stocks and wind down current hostilities while pressuring Tehran diplomatically to resume the free flow of trade. To be clear, the Strait of Hormuz, through which 1/5 of the world's oil supply passes, is only closed and in need of a complex operation to reopen it because of the war Donald Trump started in Iran. Iran seizing the strait was an entirely foreseeable consequence. Reporting from multiple outlets shows that intelligence had predicted and warned that this would happen. And now Donald Trump is considering leaving the Iranian regime in charge of this critical choke point when they did not have control of this critical choke point before the war started. This is the plot twist, though. Trump is now demanding that the same U.S. allies, who he denigrates and insults and didn't consult before the war started, fix it. Donald Trump all but confirming that reporting in the Wall Street Journal with a post on Truth Social that reads in part, quote, build up some delayed courage, go to the strait. President, ladies and gentlemen. The sentiment was echoed by Pete Hegseth today, who had this to say.
There are countries around the world who ought to be prepared to step up on this critical waterway as well. It's not just the United States Navy. Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well.
Who you call him Big Bad Pete? But importantly, the Royal Navy and the United Kingdom, frankly, none of our allies started the war, and none that we know of were particularly read in. Trump administration started the war. According to Marco Rubio, we did it because Israel was going to strike. Anyway, here's the damage that will be done if the Strait of...
Okay, didn't I tell you all that's what Rubio said? That's exactly what he said. He told it right there. He literally said because Israel was going to strike. Okay, so they're fighting this war because of Israel. They already let the cat out of a damn bag, okay? Sitting there trying to play us and talking about, oh, the nuclear powers. First of all, Trump said he obliterated all of that. He already said they did that in the 12 days war. Okay, please pay attention. Just the lies continue, but let's listen.
Hormuz remains closed. Again, according to the Wall Street Journal's reporting, quote, the longer the strait remains closed, the more it will roil the global economy. Multiple countries, including U.S. allies, are reeling from the downturn in energy supply that once flowed freely through the choke point. But according to Trump and Hegseth, it is up to those allies who were unwillingly plunged into this crisis, the one we created, to now get the world's energy supply out of it.
Hold on, I want you all to hear this post by Tom Nichols. Tom Nichols posted saying, it took almost a century for the United States to build a global system of trade, security, and cooperation. And these guys are going to throw it away because they screwed up and have to save face. That's exactly what's going on. Okay, he read them right. That is exactly what's going on here. Now let's go to Colonel Douglas McGregor, who says that they're hiding how bad it really is, which we already knew. We've known this for weeks. Okay, we've known this absolutely for weeks.
The musical is
Higgs has said quite recently, this is a war for Israel against Iran. The Israelis regard this as a war for their existence. The Iranians regard this as a war for their existence. Since we are supporting Israel and doing effectively whatever Israel wants us to do in this war, we have taken on the Israeli mentality, targeting philosophy, and approach to war. And if you want to know what the Israeli approach to war is, you have to look at Gaza, look at South Lebanon. In fact, I would say that the Israeli approach at this point is to create imitation Gazas all over the region.
And let me tell you something, beloveds, that's exactly what they want to do. Create imitation Gazas all over the region. Here's the thing. These idiotic Arab countries that are trying to side with the U.S. and Israel, they're idiots because they don't think that Netanyahu is going to come for them next. All of the war and chaos over in the Middle East is caused by one group of people, and that is the IDF. Okay, that is Netanyahu. They're the ones starting all these wars. So I don't know why they think that these people won't target them at some point. I don't even know why the U.S. thinks they won't target us. But let's continue.
And that includes Iran. If Iran can be turned into a Gaza or subjected to Gazification, and that's the price of victory, that's acceptable to the Israelis. That's acceptable to their lobby in the United States and to the Zionist billionaires who are pressuring Trump to fight this war. Now, I would hope that we have somebody left in Washington with some degree of character and backbone to stand up and say, look, this is not an existential war for us. And to be blunt, we've already done more than we should have done. And if this is not enough, so be it. But we should cease fire because the larger global implications are horrifying, as I tried to point out at the beginning.
Now, let me ask you on the morality of war, because you can argue certainly with a lot of facts that at the state level, nobody seems to really care about any kind of laws of war. Certainly nobody's going to hold us accountable either inside or outside of our government. But about the troops, I remember my first combat experience was under you and several others in Desert Storm. And in the preparation for us to go, even from Saudi Arabia, before we launched into fighting the Iraqi divisions, you guys told us, our leaders, that there's the law of war we have to follow. That we can't shoot prisoners, we can't do all this stuff, and we told us we have to do the right thing, and that imbued us with this moral oughtness that we have to fight hard, but we also have to fight fair. I mean, that's what we had going in there. But if you take away that, and even at the top level, there's no concern about doing what's right. I mean, are you concerned that may trickle down into the troops, and then even at the tactical level, they may also loosen up the laws of tactical warfare?
Well, in every war that lasts for longer than a few weeks, you end up dehumanizing your opponent. We demonize the opponent in any case before we go in, and you can listen to President Trump reading from Netanyahu talking points about how terrible Iran is. And unfortunately, lots of people in the United States have ingested this garbage, and they repeat it ad nauseum. So I try to tell people, Iran has changed quite a bit in the last 47 years. It is by no means the same state or the same society that it was 47 years ago. But nobody wants to go there. Instead, you've thoroughly demonized the opponent. When you demonize the opponent, you end up dehumanizing them, particularly when you go into action. When you lose soldiers, and you may or may not remember that we did lose Sergeant Muller, who was in a Bradley and had 5 or 6 other people wounded. But when he was killed, people emotionally, particularly in his troop, were furious. They were angry. And they became immediately interested in payback. In other words, we'll kill all of these people in front of us. And I had to deal with that, in February 26, with officers as well, who did not want to stop killing. They wanted to continue killing when it was perfectly obvious to me, since we couldn't move, we were restricted from moving, that we had no choice but to stop firing and allow whoever was still out there.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to what he's saying. Okay, he said that when Mueller was killed, basically the soldiers were thirsty for revenge and they didn't want to stop killing. Okay, I want you all to think about that. What is that? Okay, what is that? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, that's the exact frequency that these satanic, malevolent entities that rule the world want. You see, war is a breeding ground for chaos. Okay, and blood is currency. Okay, this is spiritual warfare, and these are blood and human sacrifices. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Now, this has always been the case with war. There are many ancient civilizations. There's many times when these people would do all sorts of rituals, okay, when they were having war, either sometimes before, after, and even during. And Netanyahu is one of those people, because let me tell you all something you probably didn't know. See, first of all, like I was saying, war is very often considered a form of ritual, and this has been historically the case. Okay, ritual warfare is something that absolutely has been engaged in. Sacrificial rituals, religious, and even using magic. People like Netanyahu. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention, because here's the thing. Did you all know that usually when BB's people start a war, they usually strike at 3 a.m.? Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. We'll get more into that, but let's let him continue.
To live. But there were a lot of people who opposed that. And this is human nature. So that means that, first of all, wars should be kept short if you can do so. They should be fought for limited objectives, not unlimited purposes. Right now, we're in a war that should be limited by the objectives, but it's not. It's a war for the destruction of Iran on behalf of the Israeli state and its agents in the United States, period. That's what this is about. The average American doesn't completely grasp that, but more and more Americans are figuring it out. But again, unless you get a lot of Americans killed, no one's going to pay much attention. And so the objective is to, whatever you do, don't take heavy casualties. And remember, this is the myth of air power. It's sort of sex without consequences. Yeah, go in, bomb, nobody can touch us, and we get away free. Well, that hasn't worked that well this time around, and I think it's not going to work well in the future. I think more and more our manned aircraft are going to be vulnerable.
Okay, now let's go to this report on Israel. The state of Israel is no longer officially recognized. Okay, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. I just happened to come across this last night, and I thought it was interesting.
It is a watershed moment for Palestine, for justice and for international law. Israel's occupation has been declared unlawful by the World Court, which has stipulated that it must be terminated completely and as rapidly as possible. The court also found that illegal Israeli occupation violates the UN Charter, human rights, and international humanitarian law. The court further unequivocally declared that all Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory are illegal and must be dismantled, and that all Israeli settlers must be evacuated. The court declared that Israeli illegal occupation not only violates but eviscerates the Palestinian people's right to self-determination in their own land, including the right to their own state. This ruling couldn't be more timely or sorely needed. The Palestinian people have endured unbearable suffering and injustice for decades. This ruling is a vindication of their steadfastness and perseverance. This right must no longer be denied or deferred.
Okay, I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. So they're no longer recognized as a state, and their occupancy in Palestine is illegal. So get the F out.
Maybe for some we have the wrong nationality, the wrong faith, the wrong skin color. But we are humans, and we should be treated as such. Is there a UN charter for Israel that is different from the charter you all have? Tell us. Is there an international law for them, an international law for us? Do they have the right to kill, and the only right we have is to die?
Okay, y'all hear that? And he's absolutely right. And listen, they said, hold on. They said some humans today are so dark, even the devil would look away in shame. And they're talking about Bibi Netanyahu. Okay, and I absolutely agree. Okay, I absolutely agree. And that Palestinian man basically saying, people act like they don't have a right to live. Like, this is okay. This is not okay. What Bibi is doing. Low down dirty devil. I wish he was actually dead in that rubble when they had that AI generated picture of him. Okay, too bad it wasn't true.
Going to punish those who killed 20,000 Palestinian children in Gaza.
What do you think that the long-term consequences of this policy are likely to be for peace and violence in the region?
It will encourage violence. It is sending a message that Israel has no interest whatsoever in peace. Who's going to punish those who killed 20,000 Palestinian children in Gaza?
Exactly. Who's going to do anything about their crimes against humanity? When is Netanyahu going to prison? And hold on, let me show you all this. This is a video of a Karen who got so upset. Okay, one of Bibi's folks got so upset simply because somebody had on a Palestine t-shirt, as if she gets to dictate what people wear.
Oh my God, no, I'm going to call the police. What are you doing? What the shit? Stop. 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 Oh my God. Oh my God, no, I'm going to call the police. Call the police. Call the police. Stop. You're going to take the woman? No. Get away from my wife.
How's it going? I just gotta have a couple of words with you real quick, okay? Sure. Okay. So here's the situation. Yesterday you had an incident here, correct? Right. Okay. So due to that, there are charges for battery against you.
Against me?
Against you. I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to place you under arrest for battery. That being said, I would be more than happy to read you Miranda rights now before I do any other further questioning.
You're trying to arrest me?
So the person that you made contact with yesterday.
Did you know what he did to me?
I watched the video, because there's videos of it, okay?
Right.
There's videos of it, and then we also have video footage of the female manager who had video recording inside the Panera, okay? So, per their manager, and per the video that we watched, okay, it shows you as the initial aggressor. Okay.
I didn't do anything. I just stepped in front of me, and I said, well, I don't like what you're wearing.
So again, we'll be going back to the PD, and I will have we'll have a further discussion on it. Okay. But if you don't want to speak further, I can read you Miranda rights now.
Can you say what actually happened or what the video shows?
So the video shows an altercation between your wife and the male party who is in between his wife, who is reporting your wife due to her actions that happened.
No, her wife was recording me.
Yes.
So I said stop recording because I'm talking to him. I didn't attack her. I didn't have anger.
Did you attempt to grab the phone?
Yes.
Okay. So she's allowed to record you. It's a public area. So it's as unfortunate as it is, you're allowed to record people in a public area. Okay. So you can't be grabbing people's phones. Okay.
I didn't.
I understand. Okay.
Wow. Oh my God.
Let's go ahead and move. Okay.
Look how she lied. Look how she
I have it
lied.
right here. We will allow you to talk to your daughter as soon as you get to the police department, okay?
This is so unjust.
And just so you know, man, there's a camera on in there.
That's good. That's good. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not a...
Y'all see how she sat there and lied and said she didn't grab that person's phone? She was trying to get at that man's wife because she's the one who had on the t-shirt. And I think the wife was pregnant too. But she got exactly what she deserved. Stupid arse. Let me share my screen. I am so done, honey. I don't know who the hell these people think they are. You don't get to tell somebody what kind of shirt to wear. Like, get the F out of here.
I'm in the Meenov Elementary School now. It was attacked by the US. But you know what? We didn't get shocked. You know why? Because the people that didn't feel bad about the children in Epstein Island will not feel bad about the children of Iran or any other place. I'm from Iran.
That is so sad. He was standing right there in front of that school where the U.S. murdered 165 kids. Okay? Murdered 165 kids. And those two military commanders who gave the order, I wish them the worst. Please. Now, with that all being said, we're getting ready to talk about these rituals. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. But first, let me go to this video. Hold on. Let me see something here. Oh, yeah, I can't play that. Hold on. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to my X account.
אני ידעתי שהבן שלי ילך לישון לכל דבר. ואת כל מי שאני
This is
יכולה,
BB's
אני
people
אומרת לו.
crying.
שני הבנים
Nobody
שלי
cares.
בלבנון.
I
שהשם
sure as hell
יציל
don't.
אותי, אני לא יכולה יותר. אני לא יכולה יותר. זה לא יגיע אליי הביתה, אין מצב. הותר
Too bad and so
לפרסום לא
sad.
ייכנס לבית שלי. מישהו מצלצל בשעה 12:30 בלילה. מי מצלצל בשעות כאלה? ריבון העולמים, מהחלון של החדר שלי. אני רואה את הארוך, את הדבר הכי קשה בעולם. תציל אותי בורא עולם.
זכיתי בך. אני רק רוצה להגיד לך, תודה על זה שתמיד הכנסת אווירה טובה ושמחה לבית שלנו. אח שלי, זכיתי באח. הלוואי וכולם היו יודעים כמה גיבור אתה, כמה חזק אתה, כמה צדיק אתה.
Now, I want you all to pay attention because you know one of BB's people is part owner of TikTok, right? So the video that I did yesterday on TikTok, they are heavily suppressing it. Okay, and that's because I told the truth. Okay, but hold on, listen to this. Now, this is a clip where China basically talks about what they're going to do if BB's people
First of all,
try to hit Iran with the nuclear weapons.
First of all, I want to tell the Israeli government and the Israeli leaders that the moment Israel uses a nuclear warhead against any other country, including against Iran, it will be the demise of Israel as a country, as a state. First of all, I want to...
Okay, he said what he said. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? He said the minute they think about it, they will cease to exist as a state or a country. Okay?
So considering I don't consider myself a journalist, I think it's pretty impressive how accurate we've been on our reporting. I know we've got a few things wrong over the last basically 4 weeks, but a lot of shit we got right. Specifically, the damage to the aircraft carriers, the amount of planes, the overall total value of the over $1 trillion in damages. If you count the loss of oil, the infrastructure, the refineries, all of the military bases, all the planes, the rockets, the interceptors, everything that's went into this, probably $1 trillion in overall damages by the time you were to rebuild and get everything just back to the way it was. And it's interesting when I say it, but then when you have people like Nick Fuentes, who's actually normally pretty accurate when it comes to his reporting. He normally doesn't report on something the second that it happens unless it's actually official. But a lot of times he'll sit back, he'll collect the evidence, he'll get it all, and then he'll come and pile it in these really deep happening. It's all that's happening.
At least 13 bases. The Pentagon is lying to us. Iran has destroyed at least 13 bases. The Pentagon is lying to us. Iran hit the Gerald Ford and took it out of commission. They told us about the Gerald Ford that there was a fire in the laundry room. Well, it's being repaired for 2 weeks. You're telling me that the biggest and most sophisticated U.S. carrier, which is the biggest and most expensive class of ships that we have, the Ford class carrier, you're telling me that got taken offline for 2 weeks because of a fire in the laundry room? That's not true. Simultaneously, 13 U.S. bases in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, elsewhere, Qatar, they have been taken offline. This is more damage to U.S. air bases, I believe, than any point during the Iraq war. These bases have been rendered inoperable. The damage is extensive. They're underreporting the extent of it. And they're actually putting up soldiers now in hotels because they can't stay at the bases. There was an attack at a base in Saudi Arabia that killed 13 people today. There was another attack last week. It took out 5 refueling aircraft. They're allegedly shooting aircraft out of the sky over Iranian or Iraqi airspace. So here's the question. We can't protect the strait. We can't protect our military bases. We can't protect our floating base, which is the carrier. How are we going to protect an island that's off the coast of Iran? And the coastline of Iran is 600 miles. So you've got 600 miles of coastline from which Iranians are going to be launching fiber optic drones that can't be jammed. Literally have an unspooling fiber optic cable behind it connected to the receiver. How are you going to shoot down hundreds of drones flying at the island? How are you going to shoot down what may be Iran's most precise and advanced missiles that they haven't used yet because they're waiting to exhaust U.S. interceptors? The inevitable conclusion is that this is a suicide mission wherever we do it, whether we do it on Karg Island or whether we do it in the Strait of Hormuz. And they know that. Israel knows that. The United States knows that many soldiers are going to die. 20,000 soldiers are going in. Probably more than that are going to go in the long run. It's not going to be 200,000 yet, but it's going to be more than 20,000. There's a population on the island of 20,000. You don't think they're building IEDs? You don't think they're armed? There's a civilian population of oil workers on the island of 20,000. We're sending 20,000 soldiers in. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of casualties. And they know that. They're telling us that. They're priming the pump. That's why they're reporting it all the time. Why are they telegraphing their moves? Because they're getting the public ready. They do this. They do it all the time. They did it when we withdrew from Afghanistan in 21. They told us this story about ISIS-K and blah, blah, blah. They're doing that now. And they're telling us a lot of Americans are going to die. The Israelis are telling us Americans are going to die, but that's okay. We're
Okay, I don't like Nick Fuentes. He's a wanton supremacist, but he's telling the truth about Bibi's people. They are basically letting us know that Americans are going to die. And here's the thing. They also have said that if the U.S. goes in with boots on the ground, they're going by themselves because the IDF soldiers sure aren't going. Okay, I want y'all to marinate on that. That's what Satan Yahoo said, that if the U.S. goes into Iran, boots on the ground, that'll be their soldiers going, and the IDF soldiers are not going. Okay? Now, Locks Vegan said Queen's thumbnails are the best. Thanks for bringing us the news and lifelines. Your channel is necessary. Hi, Royal Chatters. Hey, beloved, and thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate you. And also thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. So this is all getting real bad. And like I told y'all, yes, there's going to be a lot of casualties. There's already been a lot. They're just lying. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. This war has clearly escalated, and it's getting real scary. Now, there's been talks about a nuclear attack on Iran by Trump and Bibi, and then Iran has come out and said that if they send soldiers boots on the ground, then they're going to set them ablaze. And they'll only be returned home in body bags. And they posted saying, "Welcome to hell." So let's get into it. You see, this just isn't a regular war. This is spiritual warfare. And this is likely why Pete Kexbreath keeps on talking about, preaching sermons, quoting scripture and all of that, even though, in my opinion, he's a whole devil. Now, some of the soldiers have said that they feel uncomfortable with him continuously talking about his beliefs. And they feel like if they don't go along with it, there's going to be problems. Okay, he's clearly proselytizing. Please pay attention. On February the 11th, Iranian protesters burned effigies of the deity known as Baal. This marked the 47th anniversary of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. But then days later, something else happened. Please pay attention. An attack was launched on Iran that cost the lives of at least 160 children. Now, many say this was done because these were the children of the soldiers fighting against the U.S. and Bibi's people. But at the end of the day, there's something more sinister, in my opinion. I believe that these children's lives were taken because of the fact that Iran burned the statue of Baal. We all know by now that Baal is a deity that people sacrifice children to. Please pay attention. I think this was done intentionally to send a loud and clear message to Iran. And now, child sacrifice to Baal is done for different reasons, but mainly for favor or protection during times of a severe crisis, such as famine, a drought, or war. Please pay attention. Were they asking for favor so that this would help them to win the war by sacrificing the lives of these innocent children? In my opinion, Trump and Bibi are trying to script this war so that it fits the prophecy in the book of Revelation, but it isn't going to work. Please pay attention. Some of what's happening right now absolutely is in scripture. It has been prophesied, but they're trying to change the ending so they can paint their own narrative and have it turn out the way they want, not the way God intended. Now, there's a scripture, Revelation 6:2, and it reads, "And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer." Now it says a crown was given unto him. And if you remember, South Korea gave Trump a crown just months ago. Please pay attention. So they say that he went forward conquering and to conquer. Okay, look at what Trump is doing to Cuba, and look at what he's already done to Venezuela and President Maduro. And now he's trying to conquer Iran, but that isn't going to work. And also, Bibi's people gave Trump another crown. Please pay attention. Also, February the 26th of 2024, they gave Trump the Prince of Peace Award. Okay, they actually called him the Prince of Peace. Now, in August of 2019, Trump had called himself the King of Bibi's people. And also, he said that he was the chosen one. He's using names, and they're using names to refer to him by as names that we call Jesus, the true Christ. Please pay attention. Now, John 5:43 says, "I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive." Okay, please pay attention. And by the way, Trump's name, Donald, literally means world ruler or proud chief. Now, there's one huge problem with their entire script. Please pause to read. You see, the people that they're speaking on in the Bible are not the same people that have given Trump all of these praises and gifts. Okay, so let me read this to you all because you probably can't see it. It's kind of small. It says the modern state of Bibi's people, Izzy, was founded in 1948. It's a 20th century political entity. Okay, that's all it is. It's a political entity. Now, it is distinct from the biblical concept of Izzy, okay, which is really us, which refers to a spiritual community, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or the ancient kingdoms described in the Bible. While the land itself is featured, the modern state is not. Okay, so they're trying to fulfill biblical prophecy, but they're not going to be able to do it because they have the wrong people. Because you see, first of all, they can't change God's plan. It's already been prophesied. It's going to turn out and unfold just the way it's supposed to. But the bottom line is they think they can use Bibi's people, but those are not the people in the Bible. We are. So you got the wrong people, so it's not going to work. Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. You see, this is the problem for them. Okay, now let me read this to you. The Israelis are not Israelites, okay? Defines the distinction between a modern diverse nationality and an ancient ancestral group, okay, which is us. Now, them, on the other hand, their name, what they call themselves, refers to any citizen of the modern state of that place over there, okay? Established in 1948, it includes the Jews, Muslims, and Christians, okay? But Israelite refers to the biblical Hebrew descendants of Jacob, the 12 tribes, okay? These two different sets of people are absolutely not the same. Okay, please pay attention. In order for you to fulfill prophecy, you have to have the right people involved. You have to have everything aligned just as God has planned. And this, beloveds, is not God's plan. Please pay attention. It's also important to note that the Antichrist made a covenant with the people in the Bible, okay? A covenant that was supposed to last 1 week. Now, in prophetic terms, that's 7 years, but he broke it halfway through, which would be about 3.5 years. Please pay attention. On February the 26th of 2024, Bibi and his people gave Trump the Covenant of Peace Award. They literally called it a covenant. Okay, with that all being said, if the Antichrist broke the covenant halfway through, which was 3.5 years, and then Trump got his covenant with Bibi's people, February the 26th of 2024, we're already 2 years in. So that leaves him just about 1.5 years. Okay, please pay attention. At the end of the day, this is just all my own opinion, speculation. I can't verify, substantiate any of this. These are my own thoughts, okay? And this is merely for entertainment purposes. Please pay attention. One more thing I almost forgot. I absolutely think that they hit that school on purpose to take out the children of those soldiers, to teach them a lesson and send them a message. But I also think that it had a lot to do with Ball as well. And I think that was Bibi's idea. Please pay attention. Okay, so with that all being said, I had to give my little disclaimer at the end so they wouldn't take down my video. But, they didn't take it down, but they darn sure have been suppressing it, like I said. Okay, so now let's go to these decoys that are on this video of these decoys. Now, you all may remember they did the little Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner thing with the painted decoys on the ground, but check this out. This cost $100, but it cost the U.S. $1 million to strike it. Just made complete fools out of them. Okay, please pay attention. Y'all see that? Okay, that cost $100. I find it all so interesting. Now, with that all being said, hold on. Let's go to Kristi Noem, because you all heard about Kristi Noem, right? You all heard about what happened to poor little old Kristi Noem. Isn't it so sad? Isn't it all so sad what happened to her? Hold on. No, you know what? We're going to hold off on her. Let's keep talking about this war because I've got to get into the spirituality of it all. So, with that all being said, let me pull up. Oh, no. Before we get into that, let's talk about Bill Maher. Okay, how he was sitting here defending Bibi's people, and he sounds so ignorant. He does not know what he's talking about. And when you don't know what you're talking about, you just need to be quiet as far as I'm concerned. Okay, because that's what I do. That's what I do. Vince, I said, Queen, you're a mess. Thank you, beloved. I try.
A lot of things. Annoying, unfunny, misogynistic, Islamophobic, and of course, pro-Israel. The noted atheist is very, very pro the Jewish state, so much so that he can't stop lying in order to defend it. Here he is on Friday's episode of Real Time on HBO.
To me, what the Democrats are not doing with this is leading. The energy in their parties with the young people who learn everything about Israel on TikTok. They don't know shit. And their leaders are not standing up and saying, kids, you don't know what's going on here. Every war Israel has fought is a war of defense. Right. Every war, they were attacked first.
The kids don't know shit, Bill? Or is that you? Time for a debunking. Let's look at Israel's wars, because Israel's fought a lot of wars. But let's just take a look at three of the major ones. Who started them? First off, 1956, the Suez Crisis, also known as the Second Arab-Israeli War. Israel, Britain, and France colluded together to invade Egypt and to try and topple President Nasser. Israel attacked on October the 29th, and Britain and France joined 2 days later. Now, the Israelis always say that any war they start is a defensive war, a preemptive war. But we actually know that Israel, France, and Britain got together to plan this war of aggression a week earlier in Sèvres, France. Even super partisan Israeli politician and historian Michael Oren admits that then Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion's plan in 1956 at Sèvres was for dividing Jordan between Israel and Iraq and Lebanon between Israel and Syria. It was a war of conquest, not defense. Israeli Colonel Mordechai Baron, who took note at the Sèvres meeting, was embarrassed by what he heard. He later said the Israeli, British, French plan was, quote, more fitted to the kind of imperial discussions which took place at the end of the Great War and was totally out of place, he said, for the post-World War II era. Hey, Bill, it was an imperial war that Israel started in 1956. Number two, let's go to 1967, the Six-Day War, the conflict that opened the door to Israel's illegal occupation of the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights, the longest ongoing military occupation in the world. Israel attacked Egypt in June 1967 before expanding their attacks to Syria and Jordan. Now, the standard Israeli narrative is that this was a preemptive war, that President Nasser of Egypt had mobilized his forces in the Sinai, kicked out UN peacekeepers, and was about to attack Israel, and that the Jewish state's very existence, as its then Prime Minister Levi Eshkol claimed, hung on a thread. But that was all bullshit. Egypt wasn't about to attack Israel. Don't take my word for it. In 1982, the Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin admitted, and I quote, "In June 1967, we again had a choice. The Egyptian army concentrations in the Sinai approaches do not prove that Nasser was really about to attack us. We must be honest with ourselves."
Okay, so they admitted it. Now I want you all to pay attention, because here's what Bibi's people do. Bibi will sit there, okay, and they will act as though these other people are going to attack them. And they call it preemptive strikes, like they're trying to prevent them from getting them first. So how can you even prove that? Okay, and that's a convenient way to start a war, to just lie and make up a whole narrative that these people were coming for you when they haven't even come yet. Okay, this is what they do. And I want you to pay attention to that, because like I said, this is absolutely ritualistic, and we're going to get into why Bibi does this, okay, in just a few moments.
We decided to attack him. Do you hear that, Bill? In 1968, a year after the Six-Day War, Israel's own military chief, General Yitzhak Rabin, who went on to serve as a Nobel Peace Prize-winning Prime Minister of Israel, he told a French journalist, and I quote, "I do not believe that Nasser wanted war. The 2 divisions he sent into Sinai on May 14th would not have been enough to unleash an offensive against Israel. He knew it, and we knew it." But Bill Maher doesn't seem to know it. Multiple other Israeli officials have said the same, by the way. In the years since, one of the top Israeli generals who pushed for war in June 1967, Netanyahu Peled, later said that all the talk of a threat to Israel from Egypt was nothing but a bluff. Israeli wartime cabinet minister Mordechai Bentov later confessed that this whole story about the threat of extermination was totally contrived to justify the annexation of new Arab territories. So no, the Six-Day War in 1967 wasn't a preemptive war. It wasn't a war of self-defense. It was a war of aggression and occupation by Israel against its Arab neighbors. Again,
against its Arab neighbors. Okay, that's why I said these Arab nations that are talking about fighting with Israel and fighting with the United States, they're on the wrong side, because these are the same people that'll come back and attack you later. Like, do they know how to make it make sense?
And finally, number 3. Let's go to Lebanon. 1982, Israel launched an illegal invasion of southern Lebanon, killing thousands of civilians and kickstarting its 18-year brutal occupation of that country. Now, you might say, well, they were fighting Hezbollah. But Hezbollah didn't exist until Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982. Oh, wait, but there was the PLO before that. There were Palestinian terrorists in Lebanon. In fact, the Israeli military says on its own website that what they called Operation Peace for the Galilee was launched on June the 6th, 1982, following a terrorist cell's failed attempt to assassinate the Israeli ambassador to the UK. Well, here's the slight problem. That terrorist cell wasn't from the PLO. It wasn't an assassination attempt ordered by Yasser Arafat or anyone in Lebanon. It was from the Abu Nidal organization based in Saddam Hussein's Iraq. The Abu Nidal organization that was a sworn foe of the PLO and whose leader had even been sentenced to death in absentia by the PLO. But as Israel's top general in 1982 sneered at a cabinet meeting on the eve of invading Lebanon, Abu Nidal, Abu Shmidal, we have to strike at the PLO. To be clear then, Israel used that assassination attempt on their ambassador in London to illegally invade and occupy Lebanon, which had nothing to do with it, and they did so not for self-defense or security reasons, but because they wanted to take out the PLO, and because, as historian Zachary Foster pointed out in a recent piece for Zeteo, the Zionist movement has wanted to expand Israel's borders into Lebanon for over 100 years.
That's what they want, okay? I want you to pay attention. That is what they want. That's why they're fighting Lebanon right now.
So that is what Israel does. That is what the historical record shows. Israel attacking its neighbors, attacking Arab countries without justification and in violation of international law. And they're doing it again, right now, to Iran. When Bill Maher says the kids don't know shit about the history of Israel's wars, it's pure projection on his part. Every war they were attacked first? Shut up, Bill. Did you?
That's right. Shut your dumb self up, because they are never attacked first. That's what they are. They're never attacked first. And let me tell you all something. How you know that they're full of crap is because, for one, everybody knows who their biggest ally is, and that's the United States. So with the amount of military power and might that the United States is assumed to hold, why would anybody just want to attack them knowing that the United States is going to come running to their rescue? Just like they did this time. Please make it all make sense. Okay, miss me with it. Now, with that all being said, let's go to some receipts here. Okay, because I certainly have them. Okay, so BB is performing satanic rituals, in my opinion, and doing black magic, in my opinion. Okay. So let me just tell you this. Please pay attention. Hold on. Let me get Trump off the screen. So now listen to this. Now we know that they struck, when they started with Iran, they struck them at 10 a.m. See, that's how you know they did it on purpose. They struck that school on purpose because they did it at 10 a.m. because that's when those kids were in that school. Because any other time, BB strikes at 3 a.m. Okay, that's what he does. Please pay attention. All right. Yes, strikes in the early morning, in the early hours of the morning, specifically around 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. are a common tactic used by who? Izzy, the blue and white state, okay, at the start of or during major military operations to achieve surprise and create psychological pressure. Okay, numerous strikes, particularly in the Beirut southern suburbs and southern Lebanon, have occurred in the middle of the night, with specific reports of heavy strikes at 3 a.m. Iran on June 13th, okay, last year when they had the 12 days war, the BB soldiers, the IDF, their airstrikes against Iran, referred to as Operation Rising Lion, began shortly after 3 a.m. local time, hitting targets across the country. Okay, and then the Gaza Strip was 2:30 a.m. Okay, meaning they were likely just getting settled in at about 3. Now, the reason for all of this is a very intentional reason. And that is because, as you all know, I've told you a myriad of times on the spiritual channel that 3 a.m. is the witching hour. Okay, This is when malevolent spirits are out and people who want to conjure them up do so at this time. Okay, there's paranormal activity and people who engage in black magic. This is a prime time for them. With that all being said, also, this is the moment, okay? This is known as the void hour, the moment when the veil is the weakest, okay? When fear peaks and the world's defenses are asleep. Not to mention, this causes panic, confusion, emotional shock waves. And guess what? That's the frequency that Baal, the God that Satan Yahoo worships, that is the frequency that Baal responds to. It isn't about strategy or politics. It isn't even about conflict. It's about invocation, a cosmic signal, a door opening, a door being forced open. Okay? Please pay attention. So, some people think it's just about a war, but no, what they're doing is they're summoning something. These ancient malevolent deities that they worship, all right? Older than nations, borders, flags, or even beliefs. Okay, people need to open their eyes and wake up, because when they don't, you just become part of the problem. At the end of the day, you have to see these things for exactly what they are, not for the narratives that they put out and paint. Okay, not for the things they want us to believe. Okay? Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to some history about these things. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to go to some videos where they actually talk about some of these rituals that are done before, during, and after wars. This is nothing but one big, huge blood sacrifice. And them taking those children out of there, that was all a sacrifice to Baal. Okay? Prove I'm lying.
10. Gruesome war rituals from ancient civilizations. Number 1. Celtic warriors mounted enemy heads on chariots to trap spirits of their foes. Number 2. Aztecs tore out hearts atop their pyramids, offering to appease the gods of war. Number 3. Some Scythians drank wine mixed with an enemy's blood. Number 4. Etruscan funerals reportedly forced captives to fight to the death. Number 5. Fijian warriors held victory feasts, including consumption of enemy flesh. Number 6. Certain West African kingdoms performed grand processionals of chained captives. Number 7. In the Andes, prisoners were mummified and displayed. Number 8. Ancient Chinese used mass beheadings to terrorize populations into submission. 9. Filipino headhunters preserved skulls as trophies as warrior status. Number 10. Roman gladiatorial games started as ritual bloodshed to honor ancestors. Subscribe to Legends of the Battlefield for more chilling war stories. 10. Gruesome war rituals from ancient civilizations.
Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Put an overlay over this.
Instigate every single war that we've been around has been a human sacrifice ritual. Nobody wants war. You don't want war. I don't want war. No single person wants war. You know who wants war?
Wow.
The people in power, and even the people in power.
Wow, so the children in Gaza and Palestine, that was just all a sacrifice. It wasn't just trying to conquer the land. That was the spiritual true element, y'all. Wicked.
Like, bro, you got everything you want. Like, you're some king. You could have any girl you want. What do you want? What do you want more for? You don't want more. You want war because it's human sacrifice ritual. Every single war that we've had has been a human sacrifice ritual. It's been planned. It's been instigated. Like, the little mustache man was working with the people with the small hats. They weren't like enemies per se. Okay, like they continued this stuff. Like, and like people want to have all these debated arguments. Just look at what his freaking occult friend wrote. Like, bro, they believed in the Nephilim. They believed in instigate every single.
Okay, please pay attention. No lies detected.
Warriors literally drank their enemy's blood during battle as a terrifying ritual.
These fearsome fighters believed consuming fresh enemy blood would transfer their victims' strength and courage directly into their own bodies. They had a specific technique for this gruesome practice. Mongol warriors would make precise cuts in their enemies' neck arteries and drink directly from the wound while the victim was still alive. This wasn't just about intimidation. It was a sacred battle ritual. Opposing armies were absolutely horrified watching Mongols feed on their fallen comrades like predators. The psychological warfare was devastating. During long campaigns when food ran out, they also drank horse blood to survive the harsh conditions. But enemy blood was reserved for battle. This blood-drinking ritual became so deeply associated with Mongol warfare that entire armies would flee at the first sight of their approach. They weren't just facing warriors. They were facing what seemed like blood demons. Fear became the Mongols' greatest weapon. Did you?
Okay, so y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? Okay, please pay attention. That's right. Vince I am said cannibalism. Exactly. Okay, Shoshana said these vampires were probably the same demons who caused all the war from the beginning of time. Exactly. They are. They absolutely are. Well, let's continue.
Today, I want to talk about war and about what it truly means, because we have to remember that we live in a world that is totally inverted. There is what we see on the surface, and then there is what is truly happening. Because as I have said many times before, this world, this physical world, is ruled by the unseen realm. We are spiritual beings before we are physical. And those people in positions of power and control overstand this more than we do. The reason why organized religion was introduced was to eradicate indigenous wisdom. And this indigenous wisdom comprehended that the God that is being worshipped today is not the true God. The God that is worshipped in churches, the God who does not hear the prayers of many people, is because everything has been inverted. In previous videos, I talked about the demiurge, also known as Yaldabaoth. This is the God that many people are worshipping, a false God that seeks nothing but worship, that seeks nothing but control and power over humanity. This God seeks worship because it feeds off of our energy. When we try and understand why the world is the way it is because those people in power are conducting massive, massive, massive black magic rituals using sex and blood as their biggest fuel. And what people...
Now, I want you all to pay attention to what she said. She said they're doing massive, massive rituals using sex and blood as their fuel. And this is absolutely true. This is why we found out all those nefarious things in the Epstein files. Okay? This is how they harvest the energy of a people. Okay? Through sex and through war with these blood rituals. That's what it's all about. The two go hand in hand. And like I told you, blood is currency. Okay, please pay attention. These people are nothing but devils. And I'm talking about Satan. Satan
don't
Yahoo.
realize is that we, the people, are the ones who are participating in these rituals unconsciously. And it is our blood and our sexual energy that they are using to maintain power. So when people really say that protesting on the streets is the only way, I beg to differ. Because again, we keep seeing that it is the people who own the shops, the people who own businesses that end up being looted, that end up failing, or should I say that end up being fucked over, let's just say it as it is, as a result of the goons that are constantly pushed into these protests and paid for by the people in power that we are trying to fight. We cannot fight them in the physical. And this is what they have made extremely clear. This is why they are trying at all costs to stop the spiritual awakening.
That's right. They're trying to stop the spiritual awakening because that stops the activation of your spiritual power, which leads you to be able to see the truth and see beyond the veil. And then once you start raising your levels of consciousness, the lies no longer can deceive you. Okay, it's absolutely spiritual warfare, like I told you all on yesterday. Okay, but let's continue.
A single moonlit night, centuries ago, rival tribal leaders gathered in silence. Each carried a symbol of their people, an ancient artifact, a feather, a blade. At the heart of a sacred grove, they performed a forgotten ritual, mixing their blood into a shared chalice and swearing an oath of unity. This ceremony, shrouded in secrecy, forged a pact that ended generations of bloodshed. The tribes merged under one banner, transforming their destiny forever. The true details remain hidden. But what if the secrets of this ritual could change our world today? Hit the bell so you don't miss the reveal.
Now, so let's talk about this. They say the Spartans, for Spartans, training was basically child torture. Okay, didn't we read about child torture in the Epstein files? Please pay attention. It says the boys were whipped, starved, forced to steal, and beaten if they got caught. I don't know, something must be wrong with this video. Let's go to the next clip. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
Here are 5 things you didn't know about the Scythian warriors who terrorized ancient armies. First, they drank fresh blood from their first kill's severed head before every battle. They believed this ritual granted them supernatural strength and complete immunity to fear. Second, Scythian warriors performed blood brotherhood ceremonies before major campaigns. They cut their wrists and mixed their blood in ceremonial cups, binding them as brothers. Third, they drained blood from freshly taken enemy scalps to paint war symbols on their horses. These gruesome markings struck terror into opposing armies before combat even began. Fourth, they collected blood from their own dying comrades to carry into future battles. This preserved blood was believed to provide spiritual protection from fallen warriors. Fifth, Scythian kings held royal blood feasts after major victories. They would drink mixed blood from hundreds of captured enemy commanders. They believed this absorbed the tactical knowledge of defeated generals. These documented practices from the 5th century helped them defeat much larger Persian and Greek armies through pure psychological warfare. Here are 5 things you didn't know about the Scythian warriors who terrorized ancient armies.
Okay, so I find it all interesting, don't you? So that's exactly what BB's doing, okay? He's not fooling me for a second. And also, here's the thing. There was a researcher by the name of Lloyd DeMoss. Now, he argued that war is a sacrificial impulse, an evolutionary mechanism where society sacrifices its youth to maintain social order. Okay, similar to ancient human sacrifice rituals is what he basically said. And then he talked about how throughout history, such as the Crusades or earlier Mesopotamian conflicts, war was intertwined with magic rituals, holy relics, prayers, and oaths aimed at securing divine favor. Okay, and the psychological bonding of it all. When these war rituals, such as military drills and uniforms, are structured, these are all structured acts designed to build trust and invincibility among the combatants. And I want you all to pay attention, because Keg's breath, that's what he's doing with these talking points. He keeps, mentioning Christianity and reading scripture and all of that. He's using spiritual manipulation. And that's the same thing that Bibi does, because I want you all to pay attention. Do you all remember days ago, well, it was last week, when I showed you the video of Netanyahu saying that Genghis Khan had more power than God? And then he said that good, or he said, how did he put it? He basically said that evil wins over good, as if evil is stronger than good. And I want you all to pay attention, because the reason he says that is because he's using occult manipulation, okay? Not just spiritual manipulation, but occult manipulation, okay? Because here's the thing, a war is basically a perfect, it's like the perfect occult condition, because it creates chaos on fertile ground. Okay, and then when authority collapses, people become afraid and even desperate. So think about the vibration, the energy that you're having at that moment. And Baal, that's the frequency of chaos, fear, anger, aggression. This is all what fuels Baal. Okay, please pay attention. And so sometimes these soldiers, they get on the battlefield and they don't even realize that they're stepping into a ritual circle. And Netanyahu knows how to speak in riddles, if you ask me, and how to try to make himself sound profound. He actually can convince people that suffering, specifically in what went on in Gaza, he tries to convince people that suffering is necessary, okay, by acting as if pain is purification. And then he uses that talking point or that ideology to basically make it seem as though, or to justify cruelty, and to seem as if that's some sort of enlightenment. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Just a low down and nefarious. But, this is what it is. And definitely using black magic. Netanyahu, I absolutely believe it. Okay, I absolutely believe it. So with that all being said, they're siphoning this energy during this whole process. They're siphoning the energy, even the energy that we're putting out, because like that lady said, we're unwilling participants. Okay, just think about how everybody gets anxious. Everybody, feels a certain way. Like people are usually upset and worried, concerned. Okay, it creates pandemonium. And these ancient malevolent entities thrive off of that. Okay, and this is how they gain and obtain their power and stay in control. Bibi's not starting all of these wars for nothing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay, he's a whole devil, point blank and serious. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this man talking about Keg's breath and these religious talking points, because this is all a part of the ritual. Okay, he's using this as occult manipulation, like I said, to basically make these soldiers feel like they have to, or they need to sacrifice, be willing to sacrifice or martyr themselves for the greater good. Okay, even if you die, you're doing this for the greater good. This is what God wants. God has anointed Trump. This is all the BS. Okay, this is nothing but them casting magic spells with their words. Okay, now let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Because think about it. Blood is a life force. Okay, it's a life force.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
July 20th, 1969, the iconic line delivered by astronaut Neil Armstrong after he became the first man to step onto the moon. Jump ahead to today, and final preparations are underway for the historic launch of NASA's Artemis II mission, the first crewed trip toward the moon in more than 50 years. 4 astronauts will blast off aboard the Orion spacecraft, powered by the most powerful rocket ever built, for a 10-day journey, passing the moon and then making a U-turn back to Earth. The mission will test critical deep space systems in order to pave the way for future moon landings, perhaps in the near future. Liftoff scheduled for 6:24 p.m. Eastern at Florida's Kennedy Space Center. Joining us now from Cape Canaveral, Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. He's a member of the Armed Services Committee and served as a captain in the U.S. Navy. He also, of course, a former NASA astronaut himself who visited the International Space Station 4 times. Senator, thanks for being with us on this special day today. I'm curious, because you're one of the few people on Earth who knows the feeling, what those astronauts must be feeling themselves as they wake up this morning.
Well, Willie, I'm sure they're incredibly excited. I know I am, and I'm not launching off pad 39 Bravo today. So, yeah, they're really excited. They're probably just getting up here in a couple hours. They've got a long day ahead of them, though. They'll be getting suited up this afternoon. They'll head out to the pad, I imagine, a couple hours before liftoff. And then it's going to be an incredible ride to low Earth orbit and eventually all the way to the moon and back. So I'm excited. I'm sure they are just incredibly excited that this day has finally come for them.
Yeah, an exciting step in on the way to America's return to putting men and women on the moon. I think a lot of people who are paying close attention to this story maybe ask themselves why we haven't been back to the moon in so long. So there's that part of it. And then the second part of the question is when we may go back. If this mission is successful as expected, when might American men and women walk on the moon again?
Well, I mean, it's hard to get to the moon, especially to get to the surface of it. It took a lot of time and effort and resources of our entire country in the 1960s. I was in kindergarten when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first stepped foot on the moon. It was inspiring for me then, but it's been decades, many decades since we've been there. We're trying to get back. We have this effort that is going to, this flight this year. We'll have a couple flights next year to test the landing systems, 2 options, one from SpaceX and one from Blue Origin. And then in later years, we're going to send Americans back to the surface of the moon, hopefully ahead of the Chinese, and establish a lunar presence with people on the surface of the moon. It's inspiring, but it also pushes technology forward. And I think that's really an important thing for the American people to understand. It does take a lot of resources to do programs like this, but it is really only here in the United States of America that we're able to marshal those resources, that technical talent, the engineers and scientists we need to do this, to do hard things. And when we do hard things, we get a lot out of it.
Hold on, let me fast forward because I'm not trying to hear what he's talking about. First of all, there was no moon landing. Nobody landed on the moon. Please miss me with it.
And I wanted to ask particularly about the comments we've heard from the Secretary of Defense around God and this being some kind of a holy war that America is engaged in Iran. We understand that he's having Bible readings in the Pentagon and has particularly linked this war to some kind of religious endeavor for the United States. How do you respond to that? How do you think that impacts the mission?
Well, yeah, I mean, I responded in an article in the New Republic just the other day about this. And hey, I've never heard a Secretary of Defense say things like this. I don't think it's appropriate. I'm Catholic, as a person of faith, this isn't the way that, war fighters should be thinking about a mission that the government asks them to be on. And I find it pretty objectionable that the Secretary of Defense is trying to intertwine religion with combat operations on the other side of the planet. We put these service members at significant risk. What the government should be doing and saying is giving the American people a coherent rationale for why we are in this conflict and how it helps them. I don't see how this helps the American people afford their rent and groceries and gasoline. Those things are all going to go up.
Hold on, Adrian says, Queen, you said so matter of fact about the moon landing because it's all BS. Listen, y'all know I'm prophetic. I just sometimes just know things. Even as a teenager, I knew the moon landing was fake. Okay? The Most High told me it was all fake. Please pay attention at the end of the day. And then here's the thing. Even in high school, like I said, I knew back in 1969 when they supposedly landed on the moon. Okay, so I'm thinking, wait a minute. You mean they landed on the moon in 1969, but all these decades later, they've never gone back? Please, they have all this upgraded technology. Yeah, they never touched the moon.
Because Donald Trump went into this without a strategic plan, with no vision, with no goal, with no timeline, and no exit strategy.
Senator, as you know, the United States military has moved significant assets to the region. Donald Trump is casually talking about sending in ground troops, perhaps to take over Karg Island. Do you view that, given your experience and what you know, as a threat, a negotiating tactic, or are you concerned there may be American troops on the ground in Iran?
My name is Alana. I'm 46 years old, and I want to share with you the biggest game changer.
Yeah, Willie, I'm really concerned about putting troops on the ground. It is just going to put those individuals at significant risk of losing their lives. This isn't even like conflict with Iraq. You know, this is a much more significant fighting force that we would be up against. When you consider just, thousands of Marines and maybe special operations forces taking an island, it will be challenging, to do that and to hold that territory. And again, I get back to why. Like, what is the goal of taking Karg Island? Is it just that it's a asset of the Iranians and we're back into just taking other countries' stuff? The real mission now needs to be, how do you get the Strait of Hormuz open? 20% of the world's oil runs through there, and because of Donald Trump's poor decision making in going to war against the Iranians, we've got a big problem that now has to be solved. I would suggest that this administration really thinks hard and comes up with a plan, like a rational plan on how do you extract yourself from a situation that you created. They went into this with no goal. Right? They said it was about regime change, and then it was about nuclear weapons, ballistic missiles, the Navy. Donald Trump had a feeling. I also heard imminent threat of something in the future. That's not strategy. And the worst thing that could happen at this point would be the loss of American service members.
Hold on, let me say something real quick. Nice M10K, do not be cursing at my moderators, okay? Do not be cursing at my moderators. That's how you get put in a timeout, okay? Do not be disrespectful. If you want to address Desmond about something you've said, you do so without cursing or being disrespectful, okay? And thank you.
On the ground in a foreign country.
And President Trump has said he's comfortable walking away with the Strait of Hormuz still closed. He said that yesterday. One last item for you before we let you go, Senator. Pete Hegseth obviously has targeted you in recent weeks and months because you reminded American troops of their duty to defy illegal orders, something Pete Hegseth has said himself many, many times over the years. But just yesterday, the defense secretary lifted the suspension of the crews involved in that military helicopter flyby outside the Nashville area home of Kid Rock. The U.S. Army initially announced suspensions after the musician posted videos to social media showing him waving and saluting as a pair of Apache helicopters flew low over the backyard of his property there in Tennessee. President Trump was asked about the suspension by reporters at the White House.
Well, they probably shouldn't have been doing it. Yes, you're not supposed to be playing games, right? But I'd take a look at it. They like Kid Rock. I like Kid Rock. Maybe they were trying to defend him. I don't know.
Shortly after those comments from the president, Secretary Hegseth took to social media, writing simply, "Suspension lifted, no punishment, no investigation. Carry on, patriots." Senator, your response.
Well, I'm not a Kid Rock fan. You know, at the same time, I mean, I don't see why we would, punish these guys. So, young pilots in whether it's an Apache or there were times, I did stuff in airplanes that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. So, and I generally do not agree with Pete Hegseth, on anything. And I don't agree with his post. He should let the Army deal with this. But I would hope guys, doing something like that, that's just kind of a dumb thing to do. Flying close to, people's homes, even when it's Kid Rocks, they know they're not supposed to do that. But I would not want to see them punished. I mean, these are patriots that are serving their country and taking a lot of risks with their own lives.
Well said. Retired U.S. Navy.
Okay, that was still dumb. Okay, that was still dumb. At the end of the day. Okay, nice M10K apologizes. That's all fine, beloved. I mean, here's the thing. Listen, as I always said, you all do not have to agree with me. If you have questions, you can ask your questions. Okay, I just don't want anybody's Discord or anybody's chat conversations becoming disrespectful. That's all. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. We're almost out of here, beloved, so I'm about to conclude this in just a second. But let's go to North Korea. This report on North Korea and Iran. Because they say something big is about to happen. I don't know what it is, but I sure want to find out.
Something big is happening in North Korea, and the world is watching closely. Their leader, Mr. Kim Jong-un, he's once again showing his country's growing military strength. And this time, wait, it is not just about display, it's about sending a message. Welcome to Times XP's War Report with me, Triti Yatri. And in recent days, North Korea has carried out multiple missile tests. Not routine tests, but ones that shows clear improvement. Longer range, better accuracy, faster response time. These are not any upgrades. These are signs of rapid progress. And yes, at the very same time, new rocket engine trials have been revealed. Stronger propulsion system and more powerful launchers. So basically, this means missiles that can travel faster, farther, and reach targets more quickly. Well, here for military experts, this is a major development because in modern warfare, speed and range both can change everything. But that's not all. North Korea has also unveiled new battlefield system, including what appears to be an upgraded main battle tank. Heavier and more advanced. Designed for modern combat conditions, by the way, it shows that the focus is not just on missiles anymore, but on strengthening the entire military. You know what that means? It means that North Korea is not standing still. It is learning. It is watching global conflicts, it is studying strategies, and then it is adapting its own capabilities. Here, analysts believe that ongoing wars around the world, they are acting like real-time lessons. Here, every strike, every defense system, every move is being observed and analyzed. And then comes a much bigger question, by the way, why now? That's right. Why the sudden push? Why this rapid display of power? Here, some experts say that it is about strengthening deterrence, showing the world that North Korea is ready, North Korea is capable, North Korea is prepared for any situations. Others believe that it could also be about positioning here, sending signals to allies and rivals at a time when global tensions are already high because of Iran, Israel, and the US war. There is also growing speculation, by the way, about possible alignment. As conflicts expand and new partnerships form, the questions are being asked. Could North Korea play a role beyond its region? Could its long-range capabilities become part of a larger geopolitical equation? Well, for now, there is no clear answer, but the possibility itself is enough to raise concern because every new missile test, every new system adds another layer to an already complex geopolitical situation. So right now, in the end, ladies and gentlemen, one thing is clear that North Korea is moving fast and its military is evolving with a very simple message that we are ready. Well, the question the world is now asking is, ready for what?
All right, right, with that all being said, I'm about to conclude this broadcast. Listen, so I may come on here tonight I actually had something else I wanted to talk about, but I may come on here tonight to listen to Trump, to what he has to say about Iran. What do you all think? What do you all think? Do you all want to know what Trump has to say? Once in the chat, if so. If not, we can talk about something else. But once in the chat, let me know what you all think. Do you all want to hear what Trump has to say? I mean, we know he's going to be lying, but what do y'all think? Oh, Kristi Noem. Thank you, Desmond. Thank you. I almost forgot. Oh, so everybody's saying they don't want to hear what Trump has to say. Okay. Reggie does. Okay, some of y'all do. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll listen to some of what Trump has to say, and then we'll talk about something else. Sosa said, Queen, do not waste your time on Trump's speech. I'm kind of curious as to what he's going to say myself. Okay, because he's such an idiot. I'm just wondering. Hold on, I think I saw something about him with Bolton saying something about, hold on. Okay, so they say that the Iranian foreign minister gave another warning about the ground invasion. But hold on real quick. I'm going to go to Kristi Noem. But I could have sworn Senator Bolton said something. I saw a post from one news site about Senator Bolton saying something about Trump's his speech tonight, saying he thinks he's going to leave Iran or something. Hold on. Give me just a second to see if I can find this. Yeah, here it is. It came out 39 minutes ago. Okay, let's get into it. What Bolton thinks Trump will announce tonight on Iran. I want to hear this. Okay, and then we'll go to Kristi Noem, honey, because she's got drama going on, and I'm here for it. I love this for her. Okay, I love this for her. Couldn't think of it happening to a better person, a more deserving person.
National Security Advisor John Bolton. He was also the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations during the George W. Bush administration. Ambassador, good to see you. So the president can address the nation tomorrow night.
Okay, ambassador. Did I just call him a senator? Let's continue. Ambassador
9 o'clock.
Bolton.
Given that just today he said the United States doesn't need to open the strait in order to end the war, doesn't need to make a deal with Iran to end the war, and that regime change has already happened, what do you expect the president to announce tomorrow night?
I think he's going to announce that the victory has been achieved, the war is over, and Americans are coming out. I think he's not doing this on anything related to strategic concerns. He's worried about the price of gasoline at the pump in this country and the political ramifications. We have done a lot of damage to Iran. That's all to the good. It has destabilized the regime. Even Marco Rubio said that yesterday. The conditions are moving in the direction of possible regime change. Apparently, we're going to abandon that as an objective, if it ever was an objective. And I think it's going to leave Iran, unfortunately, although badly wounded, in a stronger position. They have shown they can close the Strait of Hormuz. They're cooperating with Russia much more closely than before. Russia's providing them intelligence to target American facilities and personnel. And I think the Chinese will be more than happy to invest in Iranian oil infrastructure if we walk away from this.
It's like the old Senator George Aiken statement on Vietnam when he suggested for the United States to get out of Vietnam, they should just declare victory and go home. Is that what you think the president is basically doing here? And how much of a victory would it be?
It isn't a victory. He'll just lie and say that it is. Okay, please.
Well, I think he's been preparing for it for a long time. He said some weeks ago, it seems like a long time, but he said something like, I'll feel it in my bones when it's time to end the war. This is not strategy. Let's be very clear here. This is somebody who's not thinking in long-term American national interests. He's thinking day to day about his political circumstances. And I think the negative effect it will have with all of our allies not just in NATO, but our Pacific allies, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, others who buy so much of their oil from the Gulf, and maybe most of all, the Gulf Arabs, who are now apparently, as we walk away, to be left to deal with Iran on their own. Much smaller countries now, having seen what Iran can do to intimidate the United States, close the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, and dominate traffic in oil. This is going to leave the Gulf Arabs in a terrible quandary.
Yeah, Richard Haas, the president emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations, called this a "we broke it, you own it" strategy.
Yeah, that's exactly what Trump did. But guess what? The Gulf states that are on Trump's and that were down with Trump and Bibi, this is what they get because Iran gave them a chance. Basically told them to get them off of your turf. And they didn't. So this is just what they get. And this is so good for them because I'm sorry, you should never be on Trump's side for anything. He's nothing but a liar, a backstabber, a low-down, dirty cheat. Now, hold on. I almost forgot this video, too. I want you all to see this, where this woman from the Majority Report went on CNN, and they basically all attacked her. Even the black man who's a whole raccoon, clearly, they all attacked this woman because she was telling the truth about Bibi, Satan Yahoo. Okay, this is how you know that these people are taking money from AIPAC or they're something to do with what went on in those Epstein files. Okay, that's just a fact as far as I'm concerned. They can miss me with it. I'm going to put an overlay on here for just a second.
And then for there, I tried, or what I'm getting into, I should say, but I guess this was a clip, and I knew as soon as I brought up the Gaza genocide, it was going to be a dog pile, and here we go.
We'll take action. I don't want that to happen. I don't think anyone at this table or any of the American public wants that to happen, but everyone should be on notice that this is a president of action who will, in fact, do what he needs to do to carry out his mission of protecting the American people.
What do you mean as a state sponsor of terrorism, though? How do you define terrorism?
Are we going to argue that Iran is literally the number one?
Is Iran committing genocide in Gaza right now, like the Israeli government is, which dragged us into this war, which every president prior...
number one sponsor of terrorism.
For 47 years, the Iranians have killed Americans and our allies across this world.
Okay.
They're trying to obtain nuclear weapons so they can annihilate Israel and potentially capitals in Europe.
There's no evidence of that. The JCPOA was actually a successful deal that Obama
I find it appalling
negotiated.
that you're an Iranian apologist.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do.
Iranian
Israel's genocide, and then everybody swarms.
No.
This is one thing that you can't say. This is the one thing you can't say. It is about Gaza. This is about a regional conflict that's spiraling out of control. That the president
but
is
you stated that there's no evidence that Iran wants nuclear weapons. They lied.
There has been a religious edict that has said since 2003 that they should not be creating a nuclear weapon.
They lied to the United Nations. They lied to the international.
We killed the Ayatollah, the older father, who was actually against building a nuclear weapon because he thought.
Okay, didn't I tell you all that the older Ayatollah was absolutely against nuclear weapons? He said that was against the Islamic tradition. Okay, that's against their own, that's against what they do. And now listen to this black man. He sounds like a whole idiot. He really ticks me off more than anybody on here.
Her father, who was actually against building a nuclear weapon because he thought that it was going to
I'm shocked that you are defending the Iranians. And I got to tell you, I hope that you tuck yourself in at night under that pillow of lies that you just told about. That is absolute a crock of a word I can't see on national television.
Okay, so the United States is funding a government that an Israeli human rights group that Selim says is committing genocide, as is Amnesty International, as is every credible human rights group right now. We are there's a massacre in Gaza. There are hundreds of thousands of people unaccounted for under rubble. That's what I define as terrorism. Now, Iran is now exerting their leverage over the Strait of Hormuz.
Do you want the Iranians to have a nuclear weapon, yes or no?
Thousands of people that have died at the hands of Iran would disagree with your personal description of what terrorism is. And I'm sorry, it doesn't meet the bill of
killing civilians is what I define it as a diplomat.
Personal description. First off, can we just talk about this? They've been killing Americans for 47 years. I don't know how many Iranians they've supposedly, I guess, like been paying money to other organizations, like, but there has been hundreds of probably of American military personnel killed by Hezbollah or other groups that are supposed Iranian proxies. And even if we grant, but like this idea that like Iran has been killing American citizens, civilians, is bunk. We killed more Iranian civilians in day one than Iran has killed in 47 years.
I mean, Israel has killed how many Palestinian Americans without any recourse over the past 2.5 years of genocide?
In the West Bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Israel has killed more Palestinians.
I mean, even it was just shocking. As soon as I say Gaza genocide, that's the beginning of my answer, and the whole table starts interjecting, and that doesn't happen for other people's answers. It just was happening there because I was saying something that isn't typically said on national television, which was my agenda there. And also, they're disagreeing with the United States' own intelligence about Iran's nuclear capabilities. Didn't Tulsi Gabbard just testify to this effect some months ago? And that has also been the intelligence community's assessment that Iran was not seriously pursuing a nuclear weapon. It's just absurd. We are also burying the lead that he said, tuck me under a pillow of lies.
Yes.
You got to lay your head down on the pillow of lies, tuck yourself under the blanket of lies, I would imagine. But this was just one other quick moment where they kept coming back and calling me an Iranian apologist. And I couldn't help myself, but I started laughing a little bit in this one.
The American public, I think, is sitting at home watching this, gripping their chairs at the idea that you are a Iranian sympathizer, and the people
gripping their chairs.
The people that, well, and it's not funny. The idea of what, and that's scary. The idea of what the Iranian regime has done around the world, not just to Americans, but to their own people. You talk about rights and things. They killed 30,000 people.
I don't defend the Iranian government. That's the reason that we have this government. Yeah. I go into the fact that we overthrew their government in a coup, but I just like the idea of the.
I want you all to know, do you all really believe that they killed 30,000 of their own people? Okay, that's all a load of BS. That's a lie that Trump put out. Okay? At the end of the day, like, stop it. Nice M10K says, can we or should we ever get away from religion? You know, I don't engage in religion. That's what I don't do. I feel like religion is the cause for most wars. But, you know, it doesn't even matter because at the end of the day, people are going to continue to be in their religions. Okay, that's just what it's going to be. I mean, if you choose to personally get away from it, then that's one thing. And like I say, I'm more of a spiritual person rather than a man-made religious person because that all came from man, not God. You know, so that's just how I see it, beloved. Thank you for your question, your insight into the topic, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
CNN viewers at 10:30 p.m. on a Friday, gripping their chairs in fear of me as an Iranian apologist, as if I was going to come knock down their door and say, time to convert to Islam, baby.
This is what's so fascinating about that segment to me, is that it is exactly how stuff went in the run-up to the Iraq invasion and occupation, except, like, there were people, like, you know, there was only one or two people who were allowed to go on and express a opposition to that war, and they were hugely demonized. Like Janine Garofalo had a second career as a pinata in the run up to that. Meanwhile, in this instance, everybody who's watching this, not everybody, but the majority of people who are watching this are going, what are you talking about? Like, how do you justify?
Exactly, because most people see through the BS at this point. Nice M10K says, how do we raise our levels of consciousness? Okay, thanks for your question, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Listen, that's too broad of a topic to get into right now. That's a topic for the spiritual channel. Okay, there's ways that you do it, but I'm not going to get into that right here, right now. 'cause we're about to end the live. And also, like I said, that is a whole nother topic. If you go on my spiritual channel, there's plenty of videos discussing that. Okay, so now let's go to this Kristi Noem report because she needs to sit down somewhere, and so does her husband, honey. Her husband's out here dressing like a woman, putting on prosthetic boobs, fake butts, and all of that. Now she wants us to pray for her. Girl, I wish I would. She's the same one who sat there and demonized Nicole Renee Good, and then also Alex Pretty. Okay, basically calling them domestic terrorists because they chose to go to that protest. And Renee wasn't even in the protest. She was driving through. Okay, so please, I wish her the worst. All right, all of these devils that work for Trump and his administration. She just got fired recently anyway, but let's talk about it because I find it all so interesting.
Noem is asking for privacy and prayers tonight. She's said to be devastated by a report alleging her husband has been what is being called a cross-dressing double life. Senior national correspondent Rich Edson has details tonight. Good evening, Rich.
Good evening.
I want you all to pay attention because it's so interesting that these people on the these people on the right, they're always going in on trans and all kinds of stuff, talking about LGBTQ and whatnot. But then you find out that this is what they're doing. Stressing. Okay, so see, please pay attention. This is why they go so adamantly against it, because lots of them are doing the same things. Okay? Lots of them are doing the exact same thing. All right, please pay attention.
Brett, well, former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and now President Trump are responding to a report regarding Noem's husband's alleged online activities. A spokesperson tells the Daily Mail that she's devastated and that, quote, the family was blindsided by this, and they ask for privacy and prayers at the time. President Trump tells the outlet he knew nothing about it, adding, wow, I feel badly for the family. If that's the case, that's too bad. The Daily Mail alleges it obtained hundreds of messages between Brian Noem and 3 women involved in a site where men cross-dress. The Mail posted several of these photos and writes Brian Noem allegedly sent women in the community $25,000 in virtual payments. The publication says Brian Noem did not deny the explicit conversations, but says he never put national security at risk while his wife was secretary, setting up a potential blackmail situation. Quote, yeah, I made no comments like that. That would lead to that. Brian Noem operates a crop insurance agency. He and Kristi Noem married in 1992. They have 3 adult-age children. Earlier this month, President Trump ousted Secretary Noem from her role leading the Homeland Security Department after congressional hearings where she had difficulty answering whether she was having an affair with top aide Corey Lewandowski. With her husband seated behind her, she also faced questions about more than $200 million in DHS ad campaigns that featured Noem. Democrats are investigating that businesses that received money on that contract. The president named Noem as special envoy to the Shield the Americas, Brett.
All kinds of stories.
Listen, she knew what her husband was up to. That's why she was cheating. Okay, that's why she was cheating with her coworker, because she knew what her husband was up to. Okay, he doesn't want her. He wants to be her. Please pay attention. All right? Let's go to this video of them dragging her or laughing at her at the very least.
Best part of the story is that Byron Noem was outed for his busty bimbo sex fetish by an undocumented immigrant. He was paying up to $25,000 for cyber sex services. Your wife was the head of the agency that was rounding up people, whether they were citizens or not, based on what they look like to protect the country. You're out here paying $25,000 to an undocumented immigrant, and she turned you in?
Gotcha.
2026 has been a doozy of a year. I don't really know what to expect day to day, week to week, month to month, but I did not expect to wake up today and get a news ticker headline about Kristi Noem's husband being a part of a bimbification sex group online.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Where he chats to women with huge breasts and huge bums and tells them that he wishes he could have their bodies. Subsequently, he then wears huge breasts and a huge body.
Hold on, you all.
Their bodies. Subsequently, he then...
Hold on, I gotta move Trump's big head so you all can see this, what he had on. Y'all see that? That's her husband, y'all. That's her husband.
Wears huge breast and a huge body, a huge nyash, a huge backside.
Y'all see it? I am so done. How embarrassed is she?
He puts it on, then he puts on women's clothing and then sends the pictures to the women. According to the Daily Mail, 3 or 4 women have sent in conversations and pictures of him partaking in this group. Now, by no means am I a person who's judging you for having your sexual kinks. By no means. I just think that it's particularly amazing time-wise that in the same week that Kristi Noem's ex-employees were cheering when her portraits were taken down from the apartment of DHS, that her husband is out here getting caught wearing fake boobs, fake ass, and wearing her aloe yoga sets. It's not funny, but it is. I hope that she is not so sad. She said she's so embarrassed. You weren't embarrassed when you were killing people and arresting and detaining babies and shipping them off to God knows where. So we don't give a fuck about how devastated you are. In fact, we need more news to come out about you. We need more news. I need your doctor to run out of filler. I hope your doctor runs out of the annual checkup you have. But yeah, guys, that's what's going on in today's world. He's probably playing YMCA and hanging out with Trump and playing golf on the weekends. Him and Lindsey Graham and Marco and Pete Hegseth with Bud Light breath. Who knows?
I find that all so interesting. Okay? She is just a hoot. Okay, she's talking about she's so embarrassed. Could she please have privacy and prayers? Yeah, I'm praying for her, all right. Praying for her downfall. Okay? Praying for her downfall. Period.
Weighing in on the story about Kristi Noem's husband being a cross-dresser who wears, and it's just crazy. Trump just reacted to the news saying, wow, well, I feel badly for the family. If that's the case, that's too bad. I mean, he's speaking as if like somebody died. Of course, representatives for Kristi Noem as well have weighed in saying she is devastated. The family was blindsided by this. They had no idea, apparently, and they asked for privacy and prayers at the time. This is easily one of the craziest stories I've ever seen in politics. Certainly not what I expected to see when I woke up. And now the president of the United States is weighing in. I mean, it's getting worse by the minute. And look, Kristi Noem's husband can do whatever he pleases in his free time in his own home. I don't care. Not my life. Doesn't affect me. And I know they have a very weird relationship dynamic going on over there already. So I just don't care. But it's ironic that it's always these Republicans who are trying to pry into the lives of people who are different than them, specifically members of the LGBTQ plus community, and demonize them while they're simultaneously doing this stuff behind closed doors. Donald Trump is now weighing in on the story about Kristi Noem's.
Okay, I find it also interesting. Now let's go to this last clip, and then we're going to have our lifeline, and then we're out of here until later on this evening.
If this is true, this changes everything. The war, no matter what the United States, no matter what Israel does, if this is true, they're completely fucked. So my man, Lord Bebo, if you guys aren't following at my Lord Bebo over on X, give this man a follow. And he says, tribes in southern Iraq declared their intention to fight with Iran if the U.S. and Israel decide to invade Iran with their ground forces. And then now Pakistani and Iraqi tribes are ready to join. So if Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, and whoever else decide to join in on this war, they're cooked. Israel couldn't take down Iran. Then Iraq joined. Then Yemen just joined. And now you're talking about Pakistan. If Pakistan joins this fight against the United States and Israel, it's over. It's done. They will obliterate and wipe Israel off the map. And they don't have a choice, because if they don't do it, Israel will come for them next. So Pakistan, you can either jump on board, you can see the writing on the walls, or you can end up getting fucking ethnically cleansed, because Pakistan will be next. I guarantee you that. So the Middle East should all be waking up really fucking quick, getting their heads out of their ass and going, wait, shit, the excess of power has changed. Yeah, this Zionist is America first. The Zionist America allies, our greatest allies in the West, and not a fucking chance. It's all fucking coming to an end very soon, boys. Buckle up. America's in for some dark times ahead. That's for sure. We out. Peace.
الله اکبر به صلابت فاتح خیبر به رشادت این همه یاور الله اکبر دوباره بر سر مرحب نشست تیغ حیدر دوباره بر سر مرحب نشست تیغ حیدر.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what needs to happen. That's exactly what needs to happen. And here's the thing. How you know that Pakistan has their back is this was released. I just saw this morning. Hold on.
मेरे साथ खड़ा मेरा भाई है मेरे भाई से मुखलिस कोई नहीं मेरे भाई के मेरे साथ खड़ा.
Just to let you know, at the end of the day, but meanwhile, Trump's sitting there talking about he's having mediations with Pakistan. Ha! Sit down somewhere. Okay, Pakistan already said that at the end of the day, Iran doesn't want to talk to them. And I saw this lady who's clearly MAGA. She was on TikTok just spreading misinformation with her dumb self, talking about, come to find out, Pakistan they are mediating between Iran and the U.S. and Iran just keeps lying about it. No, they're not lying about it. They turned it down. They don't want to have anything to do with Trump or Bibi, and nor should they. Okay, please pay attention. Make it all make sense. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this lifeline because you all need to hear this. Okay, because who knew? Please pay attention.
Check this out.
So he's saying that you should not take a shower. Okay, you should not take a shower while you have your washing machine running. Could be fatal. When you turn on the wash machine, the water goes into the same drain as the shower. So if there's a small electrical leak, the current can travel through the water. And if you're barefoot or under the shower, contact can be deadly. Okay, please pay attention. One wrong step and you could be electrocuted in seconds. Old school electricians always warned about this. Never shower while the wash machine is running. Okay, please pay attention. Y'all heard that? Now, how many of you knew that? Because I sure didn't. Okay, I sure didn't. I don't even know how many times I've gotten in the shower while the washing machine was running. Please. Y'all mean I could have been barbecued? Y'all mean I could have been rotisserie? Please make it all make sense. Okay, please make it all make sense. Big Kev says, Maccabee 12/2023 says, the Hebrew Israelites are related to the Spartans. A lot of Black people been whitewashed out of history. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, beloved, we have been. Okay? This is all crazy. Ashkan says, and smoke is its own alarm. Toss your smoke detectors. Okay. You know, that's something to think about. Smoke is its own alarm. Please pay attention. All right? So that's a good point, Ashkan. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I hope you all enjoyed it, okay? And I will see you all back later on this evening. We'll listen to some of what Trump has to say, and then we're going to get into some other stuff about the Epstein debacle, okay? Because I have some more receipts, and this lady has come out and given some names and all of that. So we're going to get into it. With that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And all always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Yeah. You crossed the ocean just to find your grave. Sacrificed your own boys for a lie. Listen. Yeah. Yeah. Make America great again. Yo, Tails, this shit crazy. Yeah, make America great again now. You would see what happens, yeah. Watch this. Sacred defense, we protecting the soil. While you sacrifice soldiers to pay for your spoil. You first you ran the blow, sitting on your throne. Now we turning every base into a bed of stone. It's a slaughterhouse, a trap you couldn't see. Welcome to the graveyard of your vanity. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash of defeat. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash of defeat. In your suit, hiding Epstein's ghost. You sent your boys to die on the bloody coast. Not a revenge for the leader's blood is purely mine. Every drop of his blood is a missile on the line. You thought you took him out, thought the fire was dead, but another common day is standing ahead. Yeah, you strike one down, we just shatter your brain. We put another in the lid, common day again. The secrets are leaking, the pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash of defeat. Sacred defense of the homeland. Sacred defense of the homeland.